So today I'm going to kind of talk about which is better in terms of the Klaw Raid and the OLT and kind of compare them, the goods and bads for both, and see which one is overall better and which one could be better for different things. So if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. So to start off with the Super Adaptoid OLT, it is much shorter than the Klaw Raid. I mean, even if you keep on dying along the way and like you keep dying to the boss fight, overall, I feel like it would take you maybe maximum an hour or just over an hour. And if you just are able to run through it with no issues, you're able to get through it in like 20-30 minutes minimum. So it's insane how much faster you can run through the OLT in comparison to the Klaw Raid. And obviously, on the other hand, for the Klaw Raid, the minimum, even if you do everything perfect in the Klaw Raid, it's going to take you like an hour and a half minimum. And then if you don't do everything perfect and there's a bunch of deaths, it's going to take you probably closer to 2.5, 3 hours, which is just absolutely ridiculous. That's a lot of time for it to take. I would say in general, the Klaw Raid is more fun to play just because like the Super Adaptoid kind of just gets repetitive, like not the boss fight, but just the OLT in general gets repetitive after a while. You just kind of go through the motions, and the Klaw Raid definitely right now still feels fresh with all the different things that you have to do inside of it. So I would say the Klaw Raid is more fun. The Super I would say these are the two things that I'm going to compare right now are really big things in my opinion. The Super Adaptoid is able to have been completed easily with randoms. I would say that's a big thing right there. Whereas the Klaw Raid needs 4-player communication, and it's nearly impossible otherwise. I should say nearly, because I've completed it with only 3-player communication with 1 random. But it is almost nearly impossible without 4-player communication, and I feel like because of that, it shuts off the raid from being completed by a good portion of the fan base, because a lot of the fans, when they play online, they either don't communicate with the other people they're playing online with, or they don't want to communicate with people online with. I know if I just do a quick match to do the daily, I'm not trying to talk to everybody that I play online with. So I feel like people tend to shy away, like for the raid, for example. If they had like a group of 4 people that they play the game with, obviously that's no problem, but they're not trying to hop in the raid and talk to people that they don't know, because usually they don't know who other people are like, so they just want to avoid that type of situation altogether. So I think that cuts off a lot of the fan base from even wanting to try the raid, because you need such intense communication. So I will say as well, the Super Adaptoid potentially feels more artificially hard than the Klaw boss fight does. And what I mean by that is, and I've said this before, the Super Adaptoid more or less is the easiest when you basically wipe her health all the way down in the first 30 seconds of the fight. But as soon as you cross that 30-second threshold, everything gets so crazy that I would say there's at least an 80% chance that you're dying and that the team's going to get wiped, just because everything gets so crazy in what she does. Meanwhile, the Klaw boss fight is a lot more manageable. Like, you don't have to wilt his health down so fast in the first 30 seconds to minute of the fight. It actually feels like a good long raid boss where you can actually chip his health down slowly and still feel fine. It's still obviously very hard, but it's a lot more manageable in that he doesn't do like a crap ton of crazy stuff like the Super Adaptoid does, because the Super Adaptoid with her clones just does a bunch of overlapping moves at the same time that basically kills everybody off super fast. So then the Super Adaptoid puzzles can still be difficult in general, but the puzzles in the OLT are a lot more manageable than the Klaw puzzles, because the Klaw puzzles make people rage quit constantly. I feel like the Super Adaptoid puzzles are still difficult enough to, like, you know, for you to enjoy the difficulty while completing it with randoms. But again, if you're playing with randoms on the Klaw Raid, the puzzles make people quit constantly. Like, I'm talking, I mean, I've tried the Klaw Raid a good handful of times now. I've only been able to complete it once, but I would say literally every other time, besides one other time that I tried it, we couldn't proceed because somebody quit. And you literally, up until the boss fight, you need 4 people to do the raid. There's no other way around it. You need 4 people. When you get to the boss fight, you're able to manage it with probably 3 or less. I would say 3 people could get the job done, 2, I would argue, is borderline impossible. I would say borderline because I still think it would be, but there's no way you can solo the Klaw boss fight because someone needs to be in the back room to get the anti-metal buff to you. So it has to be a minimum of 2. Although even with 2, it's going to be very hard, and I would argue almost impossible. But someone's going to do it eventually. It's just a matter of time. So overall, though, I would still think the Klaw Raid is better in terms of general content. Like, it's fun to play, it has a bunch of new challenges, it has new scenery, it's just overall fun. It is. Obviously, when people don't rage quit out of it, so you can actually complete it. But I will say the Klaw Raid is nowhere near efficient in farming your power level to be higher. The Super Adaptoid OLT yields much better results in just getting your power level up. And I do need to kind of test some stuff out because it's potentially looking like, I don't know if the OLT is glitched right now, but they said before that the OLT and the Klaw Raid are supposed to give gear that's power level 140 to 150, depending on where you're set at. Obviously, you slowly climb up to 150, and then gear that's 150 plus is supposed to be given from the Elite Klaw Raid that you'll unlock once you get to that level. My thing is, I'm potentially seeing the OLT only, like, it's stuck at giving 142 power level. I don't know if that's sucky RNG, or if that's actually a glitch with the Super Adaptoid OLT right now, but I kind of have to test it out more to see. But if the Super Adaptoid OLT is able to give gear that's 140 to 150, the OLT is much better way to farm your current gear to get to that power level than the Klaw Raid is, because the Klaw Raid takes too long, and you're going to attempt it like probably 7 tries before you're able to beat it, especially if you're doing it with randoms, because people are just rage quitting. They rage quit all the time. It's going to be interesting to see if the Elite version of the Klaw Raid is as hard as they say it is, because being way harder than the normal Klaw Raid, I don't know when normal people will be able to even get one hero to the new power level cap of 175, but we're going to have to wait and see until someone is able to attempt the Elite Raid. I haven't seen it yet. But that about wraps up what I think about the both of them in comparison to each other. Klaw Raid is definitely more fun, but the Super Adaptoid OLT is a more viable option to farm your power level up above 140. But comment which one you prefer, which one you think is better, and if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content, and I appreciate you for watching the video.